would be with us to give us the strength and hope that we would desire. At this particular time, I'm going to invite Patricia and
Our reading from Psalms 1 to 6. Lord, you have been our dwelling place throughout all generations. Before the mountains were born, or you brought forth the whole world, from everlasting to everlasting you are God. You turn people back to dust, saying, return to dust, you mortals. 1,000 years in your sight are just like a day that has just gone by, or like an watch in the night. Yet you sweep people away in the sleep of death. They are like the new grass of the morning. In the morning it springs up new, but by evening it's dry and withered. We are consumed by your anger and terrified by your indignation. You have set our iniquities before you, our secret sins in the light of your presence. All our days pass away under your wrath. We finish our years with the mourn. That's the word of the Lord.
Good morning. I'm here to present to you the second reading, but before I do, kindly allow me to pass my condolences to the family, to Mrs. Alumera.
maybe you want to get the microphone closer to your mouth so that we can hear you.
Can you hear me? Good morning. I'm here to present the second reading, but before I do, please allow me to convey my condolences to Mrs. Alumera, to Lee, to the mother and the siblings of the departed. Please accept my condolences. I pray that God, the Father to the fatherless and the defender of the widows, will manifest and sustain you during this time. As many of us are gathered here today, we are with heavy hearts. And to most of us, this reality will take a very long time to accept. But I pray that God will help us all understand and accept his will, even though it seems too difficult to understand. Dr. Alumera was my boss. And you, Dr. Alumera, you will forever remain to be one of the greatest people I ever met. You are not only a boss to Hortensia and I at the Secretariat, but a good friend. You made sure to impart knowledge to everyone you met, and your brilliance, we don't know who can match. You left too soon, but your legacy lives on in our hearts. On to our reading. I'm reading from the book of Psalms, chapter 90, verses 1 to 6. That's Psalms 91 to 6.
That's already been read. Psalm 90 has been read. You can read Psalm 139.
My reading. My apologies. So Psalms 139, verse 11 to 16. If I say, surely the darkness will hide me, and the light become night around me, even the darkness will not be dark to you. The night will shine like the day, for darkness is as light to you. For you created my inmost being. You knit me together in my mother's womb. I praise you because I am fearfully and wonderfully made. Your works are wonderful. I know full well my frame was not hidden from you when I was made in the secret place, when I was woven together in the depths of the earth. Your eyes saw me and saw my unformed body. All the days ordained for me were written in your book before one of them came to be. And that is the word of the Lord.
I'll just add one more verse from the same Psalm 90, verse number 12, where the Bible says, teach us to number our days aright, that we may gain a heart of wisdom. Teach us to number our days aright, that we may gain a heart of wisdom. We're going to do another hymn, and I will be requesting us to stand on our feet so that we sing together. When peace, like a river, attends my way, that it is well with my soul. When peace, like a river, attendeth my way, when sorrows like sea billows roll, whatever, my Lord, thou hast taught me to say, it is well, it is well with my soul. It is well.
It is well
with my soul.
with my soul.
It is well. It is well with my soul. Though Satan should buffet, though trials should come, let this blessed assurance control, that Christ has regarded my helpless estate. see, not in part, but the whole is nailed to the cross, and I bear it no more. Praise the Lord, praise the Lord, oh my soul. It is well
It is well
with my soul.
my soul.
It is well, it is well with my soul. And Lord, haste the day when my faith shall be sight. The clouds be rolled back as a scroll. The trump shall resound, and the Lord shall descend. Even so, it is well with my soul. It is well
It is well
with my soul.
my soul.
It is well, it is well with my soul. Let us pray. Our God and Father, in the name of the Lord Jesus, in this life that is full of trials, full of challenges, hurdles, oh God, we want to hide ourselves in you, to find our peace and joy, our fulfillment in you, O God. That the world, O God, and the things of the world, O Lord, are passing. I want to pray for your comfort and strength upon each and every one of us. And especially so, Lord, for the family, that in you, O God, they may find strength and hope. That, Father God, they will have the grace and the strength to say that, Lord, you are together with them. And Lord, as we come to this point of sharing, O God, the tributes, as we reflect on the life of the departed, we pray that, Lord, you encourage us, that, Lord, you build us, Lord, you speak to us, and your name be glorified. In Jesus' name. Amen. Thank you. Let's take our seats. At this particular point, I want to invite a few that will come and share. And I will want to follow the order that we have on our program. And it is my hope and prayer that those that will get opportunity to speak, that we will use our time well. We'll try to minimize on the time that we use so that we can also give others an opportunity to share their experiences with concerning our brother that is left us. And so it is my hope that we use our time well. And so we have tributes. We have the neighbors, the BDS class of 06. We have Family Dental Center. We have friends and colleagues. We have the Kenya Dental Association chair, the University of Nairobi. We also have a representative of the Kenya Defense Forces, and we have the family that will come towards the very end. And so let me ask whether we have a representative of the neighbors, just one of you to stand. Let me see the neighbors. Do we have neighbors, Hapat? Wasimame tu tuwaone, and then one of them can come and share on the behalf of the rest. Thank you. I can see my brother coming over. Asante. The rest of us can remain seated. As he finishes, I will request the BDS class of 206. One of you will also come and share briefly. Thank you.
Good morning, dear congregants. I'm a neighbor indeed. My name's Francis Odawa. I'm an obstetrician and gynecologist at the University of Nairobi. But my practice is at the Professor Nelson Awori Center. You pass my door before you enter Dr. Alumera Masiga to attend the practice. So I'm a neighbor indeed. But not just a neighbor. I have not come to terms with what we are here today, to this moment. Reason, I don't just believe that human life can be snapped off just like that in a very short time. To me, Alumera was not just a neighbor. He was actually my doctor. For my age, I'm bound to have dental problems. Just a couple of months ago, I explained to him what I was feeling. And we embarked on a program to restore my teeth. We had 2 valuable grueling sessions, 1 month apart. Then he gave me a break. We were yet to continue. That was not to be. Go thee well, my brother. Go thee well, comrade. Go thee well, my doctor. I shall indeed miss you. I feel robed, and robed indeed. Go thee well.
Asante. Thank you. Thank you for those words. The BDS class, do we have a representative? Thank you. Thereafter, we'll have the Family Dental Center, where we'll have 2 speakers. Dr. J.J. Masiga and Professor Masiga will be speaking at that point. Thank you.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Dr. Olivia Osiro, and I'm here as a representative of the BDS class 2006. Those are those who trained as dentists with Hudson and graduated in 2006. Some of us are here. Maybe you can just stand where you are so that you can be seen. Thank you. I'll just start by passing our deepest condolences to the family of our beloved friend and colleague, Hudson. And, you know, we as a class, really, we are devastated by this loss because Hudson was, you know, I don't know whether this is where you say the leader of the wolf pack. Our class was very close. This is almost 15 years since we graduated. But our class has remained very close. And Hudson was a leader. Even when we were undergraduate students, he was actually the chair of the students' organization during our final year. And you know, we fondly remember him as the person who always organized you know, group activities and always pushed people to engage in this and that and the other. And that's a role he carried even, you know, as he entered his professional life until the last day when we lost him. And he was very passionate about professional development of dentists. And that is something that I believe every dentist gathered here today, and even those who are not here with us, can attest to. Hudson was, you know, always giving. He was a very interesting person, always giving. And everybody can attest to Hudson having given them something. But strangely, he never asked for anything in return. He was really special. And I have really tried to look for words to summarize him. I don't think I can, because there are so many words. But we remember him in that way. And to the family, we thank you for an opportunity to share Hudson, that you shared Hudson with us. I say this because even though we may not have met, but I feel like I know you, and I think many people gathered here today feel the same. I say this because Hudson was always regaling us with stories. Oh, my mother did this. Oh, my wife did this. Oh, my son did this. And I need to rush home so that I can, be home and spend time with my son when he comes from school. And there are so many stories. Personally, I can remember when Mom retired and, was going through the process of claiming her benefits and everything. And Hudson told me the way he just walked to, I think, NHIF and just introduced himself to someone he met on the corridor and was taken to some room where someone was just busy on the computer, on Facebook. And he was complaining, why did someone wake up from their house to go to work, to be on Facebook, and then they're not serving us and we are here to be served. But anyway, Hudson did what he needed to do and actually left that office having made a few friends who later even became some of his patients. That was who Hudson was. And so we thank you for the opportunity that we shared with this special person. We met Hudson as first years in Chiromo campus, and I remember to date, that was in 2002, and just the personality. He was a big person. He had a big personality. You could always know where Hudson was. Very loud, very boisterous, and you could even be intimidating if you didn't know him. One thing we remember as classmates is Hudson never used to write notes, and he would always sit in front of the class and would always get into trouble with a lot of the tutors. But if the tutor asked a question, Hudson would have the answer. And so with the time, by the time we were maturing in the course, I think Hudson was one of the most beloved students among his tutors. And some of them are here today, and I believe a few of them will attest to that as well. And so we learned to, love our gentle giant. Many names were used to describe him. And, as a class, we certainly feel the loss of Hudson. And so even as we prepare to send him off, I just want to say that Hudson was the person who would always be pushing you to do this and that and the other. And personally, again, I have a long list of things that we had planned to do together, which we will never do. But what I can say is that we are left with nothing but fond memories of Hudson. Again, I shared with some friends that Hudson was the person who would be educating people in some of the WhatsApp groups that we share together. If you didn't know your stuff, please do not engage Hudson because he would school you. And afterwards, personally, I would almost be afraid to engage him in those public forums because I was like, if I had not prepared for this, I don't want to engage. But on the side, I would always be engaging him on the side with some side chats and or phone calls. And that's what I'm left with, really. That's what I'm left with. Some people may have seen me just seated somewhere and just going through my phone and just laughing because I'm just left with happy and fond memories of who Hudson was to us. Hudson was a special person, a special friend, and we will never forget him. Rest in peace, beloved friend. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. We'll have the next speakers, and we try and manage our time so that all of us will be able to speak within the time frame that we have for the service. Dr. Masiga. Thank you.
Good morning, church. stand here to pay tribute to Alumera, Dr. Alumera, whom I first met as an undergraduate at the School of Dental Sciences many years ago, about 14 or 15 years ago. As he departs from us, I know there are many dentists in this church. He is my immediate past dentist. And please don't scramble for that vacancy yet. Let me pay tribute to my dear friend, Siokao and Lee, family members, colleagues and friends. Sorrow fills our hearts this sad moment, a sorrow that is deep and personal. Alumera has silently closed the door of life and departed from us. Our lives will be empty in the areas that he had brightened. I want to quote Albert Einstein, who said, "The value of a man should be in what he gives and not in what he is able to receive." In one word, Alumera was a man who gave, and it has already been stated here. He gave much to his work at Family Dental Center. That is why, ladies and gentlemen, as we are gathered here to say goodbye to him, I would like to speak in celebration of his life. Here was a life that exemplified brilliance, a life that burned so that others were lit. Alumera joined Family Dental Center in 2015 as part of our succession plan. Alumera was a strategic thinker, a visionary, who was brilliant, innovative, and creative. As such, he contributed much to the development of Family Dental Center. He generously gave us his knowledge, his expertise, his skills. Dr. Wetende and I found it difficult to pin him down at Family Dental Center only, because he generously went to assist dentists with their difficult periodontal cases. Alumera was a living proof of how fine a person can be. He was a good boss to the people in his charge. He was also a good friend to many of us and a great colleague. The character of life he lived might be summarized up in a few words. He was sincere, he was honest, he was loyal. It has already been said, Alumera gave energy, commitment, and inspiration to people he worked with. The Alumera I remember was happy, was a happy Alumera, one who not only was cheerful in himself, but who gave much cheerfulness to others. He had a beautiful smile. I'm sure you've not seen any photos without him smiling. A sense of humor and a gentle demeanor. Every Wednesday, he came to work at Bermuda Plaza. His arrival was always announced by a lot of laughter in our reception. Dr. Alumera was bright, logical, and systematic in his thinking. He was always willing to share his ideas and information. Many of us found him to be a splendid person of great intellect and a very, very big heart. By his death, all the people who knew him will miss a highly intelligent, vibrant individual with a rare friendliness and charm personality. Alumera was a genuinely warm and wonderful individual. One will miss greatly. To the family, we thank God for the gift of the Alumera's life. We thank the Alumera family for allowing us to share him. And Alumera, wherever you are, we thank you for allowing us to call you son, brother, father, friend, colleague, uncle. For me, I say goodbye, Doc. Let me ask Mary to come and say something.
Good afternoon. Yeah, I hope you'll be able to hear me properly. I'd like to begin by sending my condolences to the lovely wife and child of Dr. Hudson Alumera. And I pray that, the rest of the family, and I pray that God's graciousness will be upon them as they try to deal with this great, great loss. Now, I'm here to speak as the other half of Family Dental Center, where Dr. Alumera plied his trade, as it were. I'm the other half of the Family Dental Center, where we grew up into a quarter. Now we've shrunk a little bit, but I'm speaking from that perspective because I know that there'll be others who talk about the different aspects of Dr. Alumera's professionalism and life. So a few years ago, Dr. Basiga thought that he needs to have some kind of succession plan as we are getting on in years, and he needed to probably start hand over and do other things. So we set up a subsidiary clinic of Family Dental Center. I didn't have much to do with it. This was his plan, and I let him run away with it. But within no time, it was off. The clinic was up and running, and in came Dr. Andrew Tende and Dr. Alumera. I can't tell you how it happened, but that's what happened. I wasn't really involved in that, but I will speak from the professionalism that he brought into the clinic, into the Family Dental Center. Now, when he came in, you see, when you have a clinic, there's a certain ethos and ideals that you want to maintain in a clinic or in an institution, or wherever you may be. And I'm so proud to say that Dr. Etende and Dr. Alumera came in, picked up the ethos of the clinic, and ran away with it. Now, the program that we have ahead of, in front of us, I'd like to share. I'd like to pick from what is written at right from the front. The greatness of a man is really not what will be put in the epitaph. Okay, it's really in the way his life was woven with others. And so for me, I will just share my memories of Dr. Alumera. I first met him as a student. I do teach at the University of Nairobi as an undergraduate student. And during this period of time, we have young people coming into the clinic, into the dental school. Sometimes they're a little lost in what this is all about. And I spent, Alumera sought me out, and I spent a while with him, now and then, every so often. And that created a bond in us that has lived on until his demise 2 weeks ago. So from there, he was posted out, and within no time, he was back at the university as a faculty staff at the university. I know somebody will talk about him in that respect, so I'll leave it up to there. I'll go back to the Family Dental Center and share one or two memories, and then I'll be done. When Alumera came into our clinic, Family Dental Center, as will be said throughout this time, he brought in a lot of energy. He brought a lot of energy, a lot of life. Wherever Alumera went, there was energy, there was life. Okay? He was a big person, but we call him a gentle giant. He was there, and he injected something into the clinic that I believe, raised the standards of the clinic. I'll just share two memories of the, say, Wednesday afternoon, when that Terry has alluded to. They worked very closely as a team on Wednesday afternoon, carried out the procedures. So he came into the clinic at on Gong Road on Wednesday afternoon, himself and Dr. Watende, and they worked with Dr. on implants and what have you. Now, what I remember is from my adjacent clinic is a lot of laughter coming in from there. They were here doing what I would call serious procedures, but all I could get was laughter. Every so often they burst into laughter. I could identify this is Dr. I could identify this is Dr. Watende, this is Dr. Hudson Alumera. He was that kind of person. So, you know, from my clinic, I say, really, what's going on in there? Are these serious doctors? How can they be laughing throughout the procedures? And I believe that memory will stick with me. And I believe the two doctors who, Dr. Attendant and Dr. JJ, will miss that Wednesday afternoon. A few weeks ago, the staff, he interacted very well with the family. We have grown into a family dental center. He interacted very well with the staff. Again, I remember a few weeks ago, suddenly he was there on a Wednesday afternoon, and before I knew it, at the end of their session, there was a burst of laughter and excitement, and I asked, what's going on? I asked my staff, what's going on? He says, oh, Dr. Alumera, it's one of our staff's birthday, and Dr. Alumera has brought a surprise cake. You know, those are the memories they have. In fact, I understand they called him Big Bro, because that's what he seemed to be to them. So those are the kind of memories that we have of Dr. Alumera. I know probably Dr. Iten will talk about from the professional side. His patients as well. We share different disciplines in our practice, but occasionally I would ask for an opinion or refer a patient or two to him, and the patients have come back and, you know, ask, is it true? Is it true? That was my dentist. In fact, one patient who was out of the country said, that was my dentist. This is a young lady who I have been seeing for a very long time, from when she was 11 up to about 20-something. She's out of the country. But I thought I was her dentist. But as I finish, I will just talk about my very personal loss. Every Wednesday when they finish the sessions, Dr. Alumera would come into my side of the surgery, find out if Prof was free. If I was free, he would come in, and we'd chat for 10-15 minutes, you know. He would do that every time he was there on Wednesday. That was the kind of bond I had with Dr. Alumera. We had a lot of regard and respect for each other, and we would find something to talk about all the time. And I really will miss that on a very personal level. Apparently he was Dr.'s patient. I didn't know that, but I know he was my son's patient. And just to illustrate his personality as a person, as well as a dentist. He was my son's dentist as well. And my son was horrified. I don't know if he's in this audience or not.
Let's try and make it short for
Thank
us
you. Sorry.
because of the time.
Yeah, sorry about that, yeah. So they would exchange, you know, on the phone, on the WhatsApp you know, he would call him and tell him I have this, and Alumera always found the time to come in. He was, again, my son said this was like my big brother. So his untimely death I'm sure it has invoked our thoughts on our own mortality and the kind of legacy we'd like to leave behind. And what I like to say is I'm sure every one of us would like it to be remembered that they were a good man, they were a good woman. And I'd like to say that Dr. Hudson Alumera was a good man. May the Lord rest him in eternal peace. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Maybe as we continue, I would like to request that we try and limit ourselves to maybe 3 minutes or so that we have more people come to share. We only have about 2 hours of a service, which should encompass every other aspect of the worship and the service. So when we have opportunity, kindly let's try and minimize our time and use it well. And may the Lord really help us as we share together in this way. This particular time, I want to invite our friends and colleagues, and we have Dr. Sami and Dr. Wetende, and we also have Eric, who will be sharing. The three will be sharing with us. Let's try and use our time well. Asante sana.
Okay. Thank you, Pastor Haemba and the Friends Church Ngong Road community for hosting us, to give us an opportunity to really celebrate Dr. Alumera's life. I'm Dr. Mima. I think I knew Hudson probably the first time in 88, 89. Then thereafter, we went our separate ways after during primary and reconnected in high school. That is around 97, and we've remained friends for that long. Perhaps the reason why we are all here is because of the way he touched us in many ways. As a friend, as a colleague, as a brother. And to me, he was an elder brother because I'm a firstborn where I was born. So whenever I wanted something, he was the go-to guy. And we were really fond of him because I remember he used to call me Fat Cat. And he used to call him a metal. He used to call him Hadi. He used to call him Sony. Eventually, he ended up calling him Babali. We loved him. We still love him. There are many things we could say, but we will always cherish the many good memories we've had with him. We will always cherish the very many good times we enjoyed with him. And we are grateful for that. He always used to tell me, Sami, we don't live once. You die once. So, you must live.
Good afternoon, church. I think, apart from the neighbor and KDF, I could easily speak for all the other categories. But well, today I stand here as his friend, and it's with deep sorrow and grief that I stand here to eulogize my good friend. I was to speak off the cuff, but I was advised by my sheriff at home that might mean guys leave here in the evening. So I crafted some guidelines so that I keep to time. Senior pastor, let me apologize in advance. Dr. Hudson Alumera strode the dental scene like a colossus. I feel honored to have known such a gem of a person. He had a brilliant, sharp brain, but more so, he had a bigger heart. A very gentle spirit, full of kindness and humility. He was indeed very, very knowledgeable. He read widely and literally had tons of friends that strode around him. Wherever he passed, there was calmness and laughter, as had been said. The man came with a lot of nicknames. I think people were trying to assess his character, then they give him a nickname. Of course, he was Alu, he was Sony. I suspect this Sony was from the Luya version of Hudson. Hudsoni, so that came from there. He was Mameto, he used to play rugby and lift a lot of weights. He was Burju, that we were given by another Asian patient, but we treated him and he looked at him and said, You are Burju. So I started calling him Burju. I met Hudson when he was a student, and the class of 2006 has covered that, so I'll skip that. But he's a brilliant mind, and he was very engaging. Leadership, he was a leader from early days. I don't know why Mima did not speak about Musingu High School and his leadership skills, which evolved again in the university, NUDSA. And then I caught up with him and co-opted him into KDA Scientific Conference. And that role, he really, really suited it. He has made the association to grow to big lengths, covering a lot of conferences. Our exhibitions expanded to be like worldwide standards. His bubbly energy to review abstracts, to organize and execute symposia, and even conferences as a one-man show, from coordinating all aspects of the rich scientific program to running the exhibition was awesome. Sometimes landing him into problems with the organizing committee who were left with nothing to do. His input and presence at the annual scientific conference was felt by all, both in attendance and even those who were not there, because they came to look for materials and sometimes some illegal CPD points. Mnajijua. Teaching. Hudson, Post Professor Guy is here, will mention how he motivated him to come and to teach. Hudson really wanted to become a maxillofacial surgeon, but I told him in periodontology we also cut. Though it's small, the bleeding is not a lot, but we also do some cutting. That encouraged him to join us in periodontology. He was a good teacher. His PowerPoints are excellent. The only time I was tempted to buy a Mac product is when I saw his PowerPoints. It was me and anything, I'm allergic to them. And so he invested in simplifying the topic at hand, and his PowerPoints were really out of this world. He had a pointer, which was also out of this world, could magnify the area he wanted to magnify. He could emphasize. And that brought us a lot of problems in our last exams. Because when the student said he can't see, then Hudson would remove the magnifier and then magnify the thing to 20 times. And now the student could not say he cannot see the image again. He was so kind. He bought books, paid bills, bought lunches and teas for his students, that his groups were actually enviable. And most people preferred to be in his groups than to some of us. As a social man, he was witty, intelligent, and the laughter has been repeated over and over. But he came into the room and made people laugh. Even there was seriousness. We were planning for maybe 6 implants. Then he would say, this one will finish in 30 minutes. And JJ will say, with this lawyer remark, then we'll go on, and there'll be a burst of laughter, and we'll go on the surgery. And true to his word, he used to do all the planning. Some of us were just mechanical, coming to execute what he had planned. Alumera had an open, liberal mind, a mind that dutifully refused to settle for the usual. He refused to let norms and standards remain unchallenged. His thoughts were not bound by the finite of human discovery. He believed there was something else to be discovered every now and then. He read widely on diverse topics. His latest book was on quantum physics, for example, The Third Arm of Time. He recently told me with such enthusiasm that there was a new shape called scutoid. I wondered, how does that affect me? And he told me this scutoid explains how cells get from columnar, cuboid, and then to this. I'm like, it didn't make sense. But he took his time and took his moment to tell me, please remember the word scutoid if you don't understand anything. His new role, which is very sad, had become a confidant and advisor to his colleagues who had either been afflicted with the SARS-CoV-2 or who had a relative with the same. And the colleagues used to call him and used to give advice. He had done so much reading into this SARS-CoV-2 that he's the one who trained the entire staff of dental school. He's the one who trained the master's students. He's the one who trained the bachelor students as we tried to reopen dental school. He had such an amazing skill for reading widely. That I was tempted to call him Fushin, because I did Fushin, where they are touches by training. He's also a very good implant surgeon, both clinically and academically. And so he trained for Bredent Medical for Africa and Middle East. He was last there in Dubai for the Dubai conference. And whoever interacted with him on the stand really said we have a gem in Africa. His famous quote was that diseases don't read textbooks. You manage each patient uniquely and with an open mind, not fixated to protocols. And this really applies to implantology for those of you who practice it, that each patient will come with his own challenges. This used to be our joke that I was his mentor at some point, but we became so similar. Of course, the tribe we did not choose. We were both lawyers. Our qualification was exactly the same: BDS, UON, MDS, periodontology, UON. The office was the same, next to Dr. Odawa's. He read the 3 names which are there. In the university, the employer was the same. The grade was the same. The office in the Unimas was adjacent to each other. Mm-hmm. And so we say someday somebody will commit a crime.
Yes.
And all those descriptions. All those descriptions will fit either or. Sorry, Pastor, I'm summarizing.
Sure. Yeah, Bwana asifiwe sana.
Asante sana.
It is challenging. I humbly request that we try and manage our time so that many more can be able also to share. I know we've spent a lot of time with our friend, and so it becomes a bit difficult to summarize the many years in just a few minutes, but let's try and do that.
Namaliza, Pastor, asante. He coined the term tri-couple. This is to implore the fact that though both of us were married to very special women, the special was added by Kozima, we still had each other for support day in, day out. My wife and children miss him. I have never seen my daughter cry like that before. And my sons trying to step up to comfort me the way they know. A great father to Lee Gatton, a loving husband to Siokau, who went at great lengths to make his family comfortable and united. Church, allow me also to mention that I lost my uncle on Friday. His name is Francis Meso, to the same scourge. May God comfort his and my family at this difficult time of grief and loss. And may Hudson's soul rest in peace. I deeply mourn the death of Hudson, a visionary with true wisdom. But with tears, I will celebrate the life of this giant in the medical and dental profession, who left his imprint for all to see. He's truly etched a place in my heart, and I'm sure in all of us. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Eric, is that Eric or something? Yeah, let's be very, very brief. Otherwise, I'll start singing a song as you go past the time I allocate you. Thank you.
Thank you, Pastor. Condolences to the family, relatives, and friends. Alumera was brilliant, exceptionally brilliant. Alumera was generous, out of this world. Alumera was meticulous. And Alumera was pleasantly arrogant. I've never seen somebody who is able to merge all those qualities into a huge frame. Alumera had three loves in his life. His first love was Pascalina Siokao Mutinda Janet, the widow. His second love was information, facts, and science. Like the doctor said, if you didn't have your facts right, don't engage Hudson. His third love was dentistry. I came to know Hudson when we went to high school in 1996 and became his friend. And along the way, we interacted quite a lot. Quite honestly, I think at some point, the KDA guys or the dentists here, you probably need to give me a honorary diploma in dentistry. Because literally Hudson dragged me through dentistry, and I'm almost sure I can uproot a tooth. That was the kind of person Hudson was. We will then interact with Alumera. He moved to Kitale at some point. When Hudson moved to Kitale, I just finished college and I was stomaching and looking for work. So I went to live with him. He was housing me somewhere along Ngong Road. When he got his transfer to go to Kitale, he literally moved out with a bag and left everything in his house to me. Some of the blankets, some of the sheets in my house belonged to Hudson. Hudson was a good man. On about 17th of October, I was not feeling well. I have some stomach problems. So I needed to have some procedure done in Mater Hospital. So I went to Mater Hospital. Then they shocked me that I needed to do a COVID test. My insurance naturally said they're not going to pay for that test. So I got frantic. I called Hudson. He did not pick. He told me he's having a patient. So he told me text. So I sent him, I told him I need some money for something. He told me, what is it? He told me I need to do a COVID test. So he told me, I'll send you money, then keep me updated. I went, did the test, and from there, I had my surgery. People have said Hudson was their dentist, a good dentist. Hudson was my doctor. Hudson used to treat me for everything, literally everything. Any problem I had, Hudson will treat me. He was that kind of person. I will mourn him, and we mourn him. I used to go very many places with Hudson. In my life, I think I've been arrested 3 times. All those 3 times I was arrested with Hudson. And the reason we were arrested is because Hudson will not agree to be compromised by the cops. So that what was really a small thing like a traffic misdemeanor or something will degenerate because Hudson will reason, why would we give you 5,000, 1,000 shillings to go into your pocket when we can pay to the government by way of fines so that these taxes will help the government? That was the kind of Hudson was. You couldn't compromise him. That was his ideals. I'll mourn him, and we could spend a whole day talking about Hudson. It's not enough. We'll mourn him. We'll mourn him. But there's one thing I will not miss about Hudson, and this is a bit strange to say. Hudson was the kind of person I never loved shopping with. Because when we went to shop with Hudson, and mostly for these electrical appliances or things that are mechanical in nature, Hudson would not allow me to use or take them home without taking out the manual and reading. So it was very tedious. We go and buy something like an electric kettle, and Hudson said, we cannot take it home or you cannot use it before we read the manual. And there's a very interesting one I remember just about at the start of the year. My wife gave birth in January. So we went and bought the breast pump. So we were about to take it home. Then he told me, have you read the manual? I told him, no need. He told me, so how are you going to use it, yet you don't have breasts? And the person who has breasts is incapacitated. Why are you ever believing in your abilities? So we sat somewhere around Kenyatta and took out the manual and read through it. That was the kind of person Hudson was. So meticulous, so to the point, and so generous. I will mourn him. He'll go well. To the widow, to the mother, to the family and the friends, we sincerely hope that you find solace and we will be together with you to the very end. Because that's the kind of person Hudson was. May his soul rest in peace.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Eric. At this point, we'll bring Dr. Linus Ndegwa, the chairman, Kenya Dental Association, and thereafter we'll have the University of Nairobi, where we have Dr. Bernard Dr. Mutave, Professor Wangayu, and let's try and maintain so that we be able to have many of us share. Thank you.
Good morning, church. Thank you, Pastor, for this opportunity. And let me start by sending my condolences to Siokao and Lee and the family at home for the passing of Dr. Alumera. Before I begin, let me ask the KDA Council members to stand up, please, and be recognized, both past and present. Tafadhali simameni. Thank you very much. As you keep standing, please allow me to call on all the dentists, all the KDA members. Please stand wherever you are. Thank you very much. Those are the people who loved Alumera professionally and also as colleagues, and there are some also upstairs. Asanteni, please have a seat. Can I also ask any sponsors, exhibitors, or partners who are with us, who also worked with Dr. Alumera, to please stand up wherever you are? Asante sana. So, in a very special way, I also want to recognize the presence of the union, Dr. Thuranira and your team. Please stand up. The chairman, Dr. Alan Ochanji, the vice chair, they're upstairs there. Asanteni sana for coming. Let me take this opportunity to say that Dr. Alumera was our close personal friend. I first met him in campus as a student leader, and his bubbly nature would not allow you to pass him through the corridors of dental school without any interaction. Next time we met was out in the world as colleagues in the streets of Nairobi, outside Kencom. I was on my way to our clinic to Locum, and he was waiting for a friend. At the time, he was still working in Kitale, and we caught up for quite some time before the clinic called me to complain, Mugonjwa anangojea. We parted ways, and I wished him well. Our paths crossed once again when he joined the KDA Council, and this was the beginning of a new phase of friendship. He became part of a scientific committee, which at the time was chaired by Dr. Jennifer Ober. What we didn't know at the time was both Dr. Wetende and Dr. Ober were grooming and mentoring him. Hudson took up his roles at the scientific committee like a duck to water. When Dr. Ober left the position due to personal commitments and had to leave the country, it was rather obvious who had to fill in the position. It was at this farewell dinner for Dr. Ober that I first met Siokao, the love of his life. Dr. Alumera became chairman of the scientific committee and continued to play his roles even more efficiently. Lumer, which is the other nickname that we used to call him, was just brilliant. And when you hear the name Lumer, it's just like a light that is shining through the darkness, which is exactly what he was to us. For those of you who may or may not know the role of KDA scientific chairman, let me break it down to you. He was in charge of monthly continuing professional education for all members. This is a core activity of the association. He would arrange for the allocation of CPD points, not only for the national office, but for the branches as well. He interacted with the leadership of all the branches, Coast, North Rift, South Rift, and Western. He was instrumental in arranging for many symposia, both as a presenter and as an organizer. He represented the KDA Council on the Journal of KDA editorial board, where he encouraged fellow colleagues to publish their work. His scientific rigor was one of a kind and will be greatly missed. At the university, he was working on a project to determine the association of maternal gum disease and preterm birth. I was also conducting a similar study at Cambridge, and we had long conversations and banter about methodology and whose project would provide better results. He was also in charge of the World Oral Health Day, and in 2015 arranged for the council to go to Kakamega for the World Oral Health Day celebrations. It was during this visit to his hometown that I further understood his immense value to the community. We held celebrations at his former school. We interacted with his childhood friends, and up to date, we still continue to meet with Kochi, Sami, Tom, Ronnie, Dan, and many more. It was an amazing time. He was also the convener of the conference, which Dr. Wetende has alluded to, which is a highlight of the KDA annual calendar. He managed year in and year out to provide a scientific program that was content-rich. Through his interaction with speakers locally, regionally, and internationally, he made friends with KDA partners, exhibitors, and colleagues. We have received several heartfelt condolences from those he met at conferences in Uganda, in India, in Germany, and many more. As you may or may not be aware, KDA was planning a 3-day symposium this very week as a substitute to the conference, because this year we could not host an in-person conference due to the pandemic. One of the presenters for the symposium was being provided by FDI, the World Dental Federation. And on Monday, 9th of November 2020, the day he got admitted to hospital, Lumer wrote an email to the FDI coordinator, and I quote, "Unfortunately, I have come down with suspected COVID, expecting test results. Dr. Theuri, copied on this email, will continue with the discussions as we had earlier. Kindly accept my apologies. I will take a back seat as I concentrate on getting better." That was the last email we received from him. On Tuesday, we had a meeting regarding the symposium, and we prayed for him. He kept in touch in our WhatsApp group, updating us on his progress. I wish to thank the council, and in a very special way, Dr. Theuri and Dr. Wetende, for keeping in touch with him consistently and also availing medication that he needed. Where do we pick the pieces from here? As council and the secretariat, we are torn beyond words, and the void is huge. Our tears flow freely. How does someone who gave so much to the association be gone too soon? We will remember his zeal for teaching implants. We will miss his punctuality during meetings. He either came early or did not come at all. He took charge of a conference scientific program. We will miss his arguments with Dr. Wetende, who went out of his way to irritate Lumer on purpose. Jacinta and Hortensia are distraught without you. We will miss his love for his chicken lollipops during the meetings. We would be quick to serve those before the dish went to his corner. We miss his favorite Apple gadgets. At the last KDA elections, I asked him why he did not vie for a bigger post at the KDA Council. He laughed heartedly and told me, "No, I don't want to present myself for a position that I may not be able to create time for." To which I replied, "But as a scientific committee chair, you're already providing a lot of your time." And he said he wanted to stay there in his position to offer learning opportunities for members because that is where he thrives. He then told me, "Wewe endelea na siasa, mimi tabaki na science." We ended the conversation, and I told him to
This is a difficult question to answer. Partly because when such things happen, God does not give us black and white answers to such difficult questions. But this is what I would like to say. I think God wanted Dr. Alumera to rest. Dr. Alumera had become tired. And because of that, it was time to call him to go home and rest. The same way, a mother calls his child after a long day of play in the field, after the child has become tired. Because of the loving mother, the loving love of the mother would go and call the child from the playground where the rest of the children are. Come home. Take a shower, dress up, and rest, and feel good in the house. The rest of the children are left there in the field, feeling the game has been spoiled. That is where we are. We feel the game was spoiled, but because Alumera has rested, that is the other side of it. The Word of God says this. Even the valueless and the smallest of the birds, called the sparrow, none of it falls down dead without the knowledge of God. He was not a small sparrow, he was a big one. He had a big value. At his fall, to which we felt a lot of pain, God knew he was falling, he was not going to be with us any longer. For us, we are saying he has done it very well. He has left a big legacy. For us who have been left alone, myself more, at the department where we have felt the impact of his loss, where shall we take it from? I pray that many, many other Alumeras will come from the life that we witnessed. May God comfort us all and give us strength to bear the pain of loss of our brother and a friend, Dr. Hudson Alumera. May his soul rest in eternal peace.
Asante, thank you. That was Dr. Bernard. I thought that maybe he had spoken for the university or something. I'm not sure whether I should give you an opportunity because of our time. Let me just spend maybe a very short time. Very short, because I want to move over to the family. Thank you.
Of dental surgery student at the University of Nairobi. And as his colleague said, he would sit right at the front row of his class and never took notes. And I remember thinking to myself, which student really sits and just looks straight at the teacher? It made some of us who were pretty young at that time a bit nervous. But later on, I realized that he was really attentive throughout the class. Dr. Alumera would, of course, later serve as the chair of the Nairobi University Dental Students Association, during which time he demonstrated his organizational and leadership skills. He led the students in numerous community dental outreach camps across the country. At the end of his fourth year, Dr. Alumera had to resit one examination, one event in his life which ultimately unveiled the distaste of failure and the hate of failure of this great man. During that time, brief weeks, he literally oscillated between madness, rage, and confusion at the thought of having to resit a paper. And it was actually during this time that I got to know Dr. Alumera more, as I invited him for Christmas over at my house as we sought to control the situation. We worked out that situation, and that led to a long mentor-mentee relationship which lasted until his untimely demise. He consulted on very many aspects of his life from then on. When he later joined the school to pursue his postgraduate studies, he always came out to ask for solutions when he had challenges, and we worked out a solution for literally each one of them. He would be a key pillar in the department when I served as the chairperson between the year 2013 and 2016. His energy, organizational skills, and presence would be felt throughout the time he has been teaching at the school, and the students were always awed by the grasp of the subject he taught. His colleagues knew they could call on him at very, very short notice, and because of his dedication to duty, he always stepped in to cover their clinical sessions. He was many different things to many people: an IT expert, a quick literature search engine, a quick fix-it for many situations, and a very good mentor for many students. Dr. Alumera continued to expand his influence among professional colleagues and took on more challenging tasks. And while he fully catered for, paid for registration, accommodation, transported, until they came back to the dental school. And he would give me a report on each one of them at the end of their session. At the School of Dental Sciences, Dr. Alumera served in very many committees, but among these was the COVID Response Committee, which we set up this year once COVID checked in the country. And as coronavirus continued to unfold, he packaged and taught the entire dental school community the lecture that me and him agreed was going to be the science of coronavirus, or SARS-CoV-2, as Dr. Wetende likes to call it. He did this with a lot of zeal and passion. And as we were preparing to receive the fourth-year dental students on November 19th, we talked about